I really want to talk about this new offering that you're bringing to the table. I think it's revolutionary. Could you tell us all about it, what it is, and who it serves?
We're introducing a new service called Uphold Vault. It's an assisted form of self-custody. It makes self-custody.
It's happened again. We talked to the CEO of Uphold, Simon McLaughlin. We talked about a new product that Simon has launched. If you watched yesterday's video, you already know what it is, but it's fascinating. We also talk about how AI could be revolutionizing Uphold and their future projects and everything that they've got going on, including the Ripple partnership and how that works with Uphold. This is a must watch. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, please do so after this one. I think this information is really useful, so keep it to yourself.
Okay, so I feel like there's a lot to talk about since we last talked. There's, I guess, like a pre-announcement that we're going to do in this video to talk about a new feature coming to Uphold, but there's also a whole suite of other things that have happened. So what I'm going to do is, from the YouTube viewing retention perspective, we're going to leave the really new stuff to the end, so everyone has to watch. I want to get into this Swell. Did you go to Swell?
Yeah, we went to Swell. We were in Dubai for a week. It was an incredible event, very well organized, and great to see all the people who are building on top of XRPL.
I really wanted to go, but I don't think I had a good enough reason to be there from the Ripple side. But I was talking with Chris on the institutional side, and he said it was almost like being welcomed, almost like celebrities in the Ripple sphere. That partnership with Ripple, how has that been so far, and what can you share on the experience?
I mean, it's been great, and it's a very natural partnership because at Uphold we don't pick winners and losers. That's not our game. Obviously, we're not investment advisors. We do like blockchains with very clear use cases. We do like projects that solve big identifiable problems in the real world economy. And XRP solves cross-border payments among other things. So for us, it's a perfect project to get involved with, and our role is going to be we're going to be one node in the Ripple payments network, converting XRP into fiat and handling bank payouts. So when they have a large multinational company moving money from one region to another, our corridors will be UK, Europe, and US, and using crypto to move money seamlessly, cheaply, and quickly. So it's been a great partnership, and we're obviously thrilled to be part of it.
Do you see Ripple or the XRPL or XRP working in any other capacities with Uphold at some point?
Well, I think they'll be working with our institutional team. I think you know this, Lewis, but what makes Uphold different is we're connected to 30 underlying trading venues, and we're listening to pricing and quantities across the market in real time. So that makes Uphold a very good venue to choose if you want to move large volumes of a digital asset with minimal price impact. So, we're getting quite a lot of tractions with institutions. We'll be working with Ripple in that capacity. And I think, Uphold's future is really as an infrastructure provider to projects building on blockchains. XRP is a great example, but there are tens of thousands more, and we're embracing the utility use case of crypto and providing people with licensing, payment processing capabilities, bank rail connections, that kind of thing. So they don't have to go and acquire all that stuff themselves. It took Uphold 9 years to acquire a full set of MTL licenses in the US. It's a really heavy lift to acquire these licenses. And if you're a project building on the blockchain, you're not going to want to do all that yourself. You're going to want to plug into an infrastructure provider who can bring a lot of the table stakes functionality and capabilities to your project.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it's just me thinking out loud, but is the fact that the XRPL's use case is so defined the reason why Uphold is so open to working with Ripple in it seems like, when there's new products that come out, it usually always favors the XRPL as well. Like, as let's say we're launching a new product and it's kind of like, well, is that is the defined nature of the XRPL one of the main reasons why they're kind of first to bat with Uphold in general?
I think so. I mean, obviously, we built a large user base with XRP holders because of our support for it over the past couple of years. We always find that it's amusing that there are all of these layer two networks that are solving problems on Ethereum. Everybody's pointing so much brain power at solving the fundamental deficiencies of the Ethereum network, and then you look at XRP. Those problems are solved, right? In many ways, you've got the speed, the cheapness, and for us, it's just like now the regulatory shadow has been lifted, and the SEC seems to, have been checked to some extent by the US courts. I think lots of projects that were sitting on the sidelines not adopting XRPL now have a green light to, adopt the technology, which is a very natural platform if you're doing anything to do with payments and processing. So I'm hoping that that there's going to be a large adoption of the network.
Do you really think it's a green light right now?
I think it's it's a good catch. I think it's in the US, the uncertainty continues to an extent, but I think my own personal view, this is an Uphold's view, I think within 3 years, you'll see the US come from behind and actually have the most detailed and comprehensive and probably best set of regulations. It's just as a 3-year window of continued uncertainty. But I do think that the court case in July removes a lot of the fundamental doubts. I mean, the key point from that was that XRP is not inherently a security. I think the subsequent events where the judge refused the SEC leave to appeal and so on, they all suggest that the courts are going to stem potential regulatory overreach, which does remove a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I've felt quite frustrated, as many people in XRP and this whole payment side of cryptocurrency, very frustrated with how much weight the but element of this sentence has had. XRP is not a security, but
Yeah.
That's been a lingering thought, and the but element has been so powerful.
Yeah.
In somehow taking away the win.
Yeah.
I feel like that lingers still. Perhaps that 3-year time period that you talk about is enough time to iron out those crinkles and doubts from an institutional level.
I think so. I mean, there's no substitute for clear rules of the road, which means clear regulation. And that doesn't exist in the US at the moment. That said, there are 2 really substantive draft bills that have been put forward. McHenry, which comes effectively from the chairman of the Finance Committee of the House, and you've got Loomis Gilbrand. Both of those bills provide really detailed clarity on rules for digital assets. And, in some ways, actually, they offer more detail than MiCA. I mean, MiCA is being held as a fantastic pan-European initiative, which it is, but there's a lot of definition and implementation details that haven't been ironed out yet. So there's a lot of devil in the detail to come there, I guess is my point. Whereas the 2 draft bills in the US, broadly, that they should be welcomed. And as a company, we definitely take the view of, to an extent, to a degree, we don't care what the rules are. We just want to know what the rules are so we can plan properly. So the situation in the US does remain frustrating.
So let's move focus from the situation in the US to the situation in the UK.
Yeah.
The regulations recently, I've got my own thoughts on them. Have they affected Uphold's operation at all?
Yeah, absolutely, they will. I mean, they're material. They involve major change. Operationally, they're challenging. Just to give you one example, for a new customer, we have to give them a 24-hour cooling off period before they can actually trade digital assets. There's part of me we're investing next year very heavily in an education academy, because we do want people to come into this space and be properly educated before they dive in. So in some ways we welcome the change, but it is quite simply very challenging operationally to implement it. But as a company, you're faced with this dilemma, right? Which is there are tens of thousands of projects being built on blockchains, many of them fantastically interesting, and you want to give people access to that innovation. But at the same time, you need to protect them from frauds and scams. And striking the right balance there is challenging. And really the only right balance you can strike before there's clear regs and there's clear listing, there's clear prospectus rules, is you must educate yourself. You must be self-sovereign in educating yourself in the underlying project. Because just diving in and treating it as a wild casino is that's not a sensible approach. There's lots of fabulous projects, but you need to educate yourself and learn about them and conduct your own research. So anyway, we're doing a ton of work building an educational academy, which is not so much about teaching people about individual tokens and projects. It's much more about keeping yourself safe in this really exciting but high risk environment, and how to do your own research and sort of due diligence.
Yeah, I found actually, I think that's a great idea. I found the breakdown is the breakdown in investing in this space is that there's two types of people. There's the people who want the gains, then there's also the people that want the adoption of this new technology, and it's exciting. I think actually probably the balance in between the two is the way to go, because the balance in between the two shows your awareness of the fact that this is a new wave coming into a new system. It shows an overall awareness, but it also allows you to detach from the gains part too heavily.
Yeah.
With everything, it's kind of a nothing answer what I just said there. It's kind of like in between everything is usually the right balance. I found that the regulations in the UK, it's personally felt a bit overreachy.
Yeah.
But then again, it only feels like overreach because I've known what it was like before this. for all new entrants that come into the market, they won't know any different, and it won't feel that way. It's just the way crypto is.
Yeah.
So have to have perspective on that front. So I won't keep everyone hanging around for too long. I really want to talk about this new offering that you're bringing to the table. I think it's revolutionary. Fills a massive gap in the market. Could you tell us all about it, what it is, and who it serves?
Sure. We're introducing a new service called Uphold Vault. It's an assisted form of self-custody. And in simple terms, it makes self-custody super easy and convenient for the average user. Earlier this year, we surveyed our customers, to find out what they wanted us to develop. And I think in the wake of FTX and other issues, there was a loss of trust in centralized exchanges. It definitely hasn't affected us as much as it has other exchanges because we're so transparent. We publish our assets and liabilities. We're audited by RSM Robson Rhodes. But nevertheless, the customers clearly told us we want more custody options. We've already introduced a service called Uphold, which is a self-custody wallet. But Vault is assisted self-custody. And what it is basically in the Uphold app, it's a way of sending your assets to a self-custody location. It's a multi-sig wallet. You, the user, hold two keys. We hold one key. If you lose one of your keys, you can come back to Uphold, put your remaining key together with our key to create a brand new key. It's not a replacement key. It's a brand new key. We're really excited about it because, our design goals were, number one, ultimate security of customer assets. Number two, survivability. So even if the Uphold app is down or God forbid Uphold goes away at some point in the future, you're in control of your assets. You can move them without any recourse or dependence on us. I think in practical terms, day to day, the thing that's really neat about it is that from the Uphold app, you can move your funds to Uphold Vault in one click, and you can pull them back from Uphold Vault in one click, in one tap, so that you can trade on the platform. So there's no more, rooting around in a desk drawer for your private key, or digging up a metal plate from the garden that you buried. It's super convenient, super easy. And what I want people to know is, this: we made a very deliberate design choice. We looked at multi-party computation, and we looked at the native multi-sig technology that's embedded on blockchains. Native multi-sig technology on networks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the ones it's protected tens of billions of dollars. In the case of Bitcoin, for 14 years. Never been hacked. The technology is super secure, but it's been technically complex to use and access. What Uphold Vault does is effectively put a simple window over the top of it, but it uses that technology on the back end, but makes it very easy to use and keeps your assets very close to the trading location. So if you're an average user and you don't want the stress of, oh my God, if I lose my key, I'm going to lose my funds, and who wants that really? This is we think it's a perfect solution that strikes a balance between the convenience of CeFi and the ultimate security of self-custody.
I absolutely agree. I've actually used the app in beta just as a test to kind of give feedback and just have that user experience that people are about to have. And I've got nothing bad to say about it. And even when I had questions like, oh, shouldn't we have notifications for this? They're like, yeah, it's already covered. Like everything I asked was already sorted.
You've been testing it, have you, Lewis?
I have.
Great.
So one of there's so much to talk about with this. I think it's absolutely fabulous. So massive round of applause to everyone who's done that. I think I really believe there is a population of people out there, and I'll talk to my audience directly here, that you've got into crypto, you've bought on an exchange, then all these people have come in behind you and they're pushing you along. It's kind of like you can't do anything about it, but the destination is cold storage, and you're like, I don't really want to do this. It's like I don't want to click all these buttons. I don't understand the key, like all the obstacles that you have with a physical cold storage wallet. Then it's also like, well, where do I put it? Do I get a safe? But if the safe gets taken, it's like all this stuff that people, I think, have accepted this is how crypto is, but don't necessarily actually even want that at their core. They don't want that responsibility to hold those things. And so in that big visualization I have of being pushed down the road to cold storage, it's almost like a big beam of like, there's an opening just to the right, and it's this vault thing where it's like, you can have all that security, but you don't have to fear about the using it and the technical element, the technical hurdles. And I think that audience is actually considerable. I think that's a large portion of people. I talk with people almost on a daily basis, in person, on calls as well. And a lot of it is like, I actually need to write it down, this process of how to send my crypto to an exchange and back to my cold storage. It's like, why do we even have this hurdle? It strikes fear into a population that we don't need. That doesn't need to be a thing. And I found, sorry to just keep talking, but I want to kind of give flowers to this whole thing. But I really, really liked how when you're backing up your keys in the app, if you back them up on the iCloud, so you've got your phrases there, and it's stored away. If you then go into your iCloud, delete that file, and then go back into the app,
it keeps you safe.
It has a color-coded system to basically show it. You have partial security here, so it's like red, it's amber, and green. Green is if you're totally secure. Amber is one of the phrases somewhere has been misplaced. And in that eventuality, it's really one click of a button, and it generates a whole new phrase list or keys, and then you're back to green security.
Yeah.
The thing that you mentioned earlier, which I think is one of the more incredible things here, I think this is going to be adopted just globally, I think. But it's the idea that it's Uphold bankrupt proof.
Right.
So regardless of what happens to Uphold,
yeah,
it's separate, but in the app experience, it feels like the same thing as the Uphold app. So great work.
Oh, that's great to hear. I mean, I love the way it keeps you safe as well. I'm not a technical, blockchain native. So for me, it opens up all the benefits of native blockchain features, but just makes them really, really simple to use. And I love the balance it struck between security and just convenience. And this was developed by the Uphold Labs group, which is run by Stephen McNamara. Stephen won't mind me telling you, he's a Bitcoin maximalist, a very purist. So he adopted very, very purist, strict principles in the security architecture, which we're thrilled about. But at the same time, all the complexity and the convenience of what's going on at the back end has been stripped out and made very simple for people. Yeah,
and I spoke to him on Tuesday. He's the one who showed me around. So it was fantastic. I do have questions, though, not that I don't know the answer, but because I'd love my audience to know them.
Yep.
So are we going full-blown all crypto assets to be custodied with Vault, or are we focusing in?
Initially, we're launching with XRP because that's where our biggest community is, and we want to serve those folks first. In Q1 next year, we're adding Bitcoin. And then we're adding some of the more exotic and interesting networks. We're planning to add XDC, which is the trade finance token, the trade finance project. We're planning to add Casper, the payments, a very interesting project, an acyclical DAG combined with blocks. Super interesting technology. So one of the main goals is quite simply, we don't want you to have a different wallet for each blockchain that you hold assets on. So Vault will be a window on multiple blockchains. So, you won't have to go through this process for each blockchain. We think that's another important way in which we can simplify people's lives. And again, this is really all about how do you make the technology sufficiently easy to use and secure that you get mass adoption? And people gravitate to things that make their lives easier. And so, I think Vault definitely does that for self-custody.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions that actually that came to me yesterday. One was about off-ramping. Now that leads me to the question mostly, is Uphold Vault purely custody? And off-ramping is only done on the Uphold app, or can you off-ramp on Vault?
Two things. At the moment, you can only off-ramp through the Uphold app, but crucially, you can use any compatible wallet to move the assets in your Vault. You don't need Uphold to move the assets in your Vault. You can go to any EVM compatible wallet, and when you use a different wallet, you've obviously got on ramps and off ramps built into those wallets. So again, you're not dependent upon Uphold. We're not the only way in and out. We're the way in and out if you want to conveniently trade back on the trading platform.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good distinction there. Personally, I'm just going to keep it in Uphold. Let that family work together, because in the demo, it just worked perfectly, and I have no need to go linking EVM wallets or anything.
Oh, that's good.
What was my other question? Oh, it was a good one. Oh, no. I'll be cutting this out. I had a good one, though. It's gone. It's gone from me. Yeah, it may come back. So we've talked about what's happened with the Ripple partnership and the capacity of that. We've moved forward and talked about the near future with Uphold Vault. I'm not sure. Are you able to share a launch date for that or a range?
Yeah, we're hoping for end of November. So either end of November or early December, but it's imminent. It's in a closed beta test right now, so it's all ready to go, and we'll be rolling it out to the app stores at the end of this month. Then there's a period when it takes, it can take between 3 days and a couple of weeks to roll out to all the different app stores around the world.
Yeah. I've just realized as well, this video is coming out itself when it launches, so maybe we don't even need, that'll be happening right now. So looking further into the future, past Vault, I would even say past the kind of next couple of years, we're looking at kind of the 5-10 year roadmap. I really just see Uphold operating in such a way that really truly encompasses anything to anything. How do you see kind of the first entrance to kind of bringing true anything to anything coming to play on Uphold?
Two parts to the answer. By the end of 2026, I want to get the company to the point where the majority of its revenues are coming from utility use case of crypto in relation to payments. So we're doing a lot of work with Web3 gaming companies, Web3 social media companies, payment processors who are adopting crypto to move value, and they need infrastructure to support what we're doing. So that's strategically our big focus. In the retail space, retail is always going to be important to us because it's like the reference case for what our platform can do. The thing that excites me most about the retail space is the tokenization of real world assets. And at that point, you can genuinely have people moving anything to anything, from tokenized equities to tokenized private equity to tokenized bonds. People forget that some of these instruments are expensive and difficult to access for ordinary people today. I mean, even bonds are expensive, for average retail users. Very, very excited to get to that point. And that is probably a 5 to 7 year horizon. Fundamental changes need to happen in the blockchain space and in regulation terms before that happens. One of the most important is for the tokenization of real world assets to become a real thing, you need NFTs to become chain agnostic. You can't tokenize a real world asset when actually the NFT only lives on Ethereum. I mean, that doesn't work, right? It has to be portable across chain. So we think that's a really, really important thing. I think, one of the main barriers at the moment, and we need to address it as an industry, is the security of smart contracts. If smart contracts are, a massive part of the economy, in my opinion, is about to migrate to blockchain technology. But if the key component in that is a smart contract, then you need incredibly robust security around smart contracts. It was really interesting to see the French introduce a draft legislative proposal which would see smart contracts subject to independent security audit under French law before they'd recognize the project. Now, it's easy to sort of scoff and sort of say that's centralization and not practical, but the principle is pretty sensible. Personally, we love the idea of smart contracts coming away from the protocol level and coming into the wallet so that you're in control of your own smart contract and, have security in it. I think with AI coming along, which gets us to the point, hopefully, where you can write your own smart contract in natural language that's written by AI, that's fantastically interesting, right? And equally, the security vulnerabilities inherent in some of this code, AI has the potential at least to, rapidly reduce the amount of time that's needed to, make the code more robust.
Yeah, that is, and I said exactly that in a recent video about how AI in general isn't required to take blockchain adoption to where it needs to be, but certainly in specific use cases like smart contracts. And I said exactly what you said about natural language creating smart contracts.
Yeah,
I really think that's going to be the big onboarding event globally. But the frustrating thing is that I don't think retail people will realize that what they're doing is creating a smart contract. It will just look nice on the website they're using.
Yeah.
And it will kind of spit out this contract that executes.
Yeah.
But they won't think it's blockchain. We will, because we'll know what's just happened. But how is AI? Is AI going to play any role, or is it starting to play any role in what Uphold does?
It is. It is. It's already playing a role in making our internal processes more efficient, stripping out costs, doing things more efficiently internally. But funnily enough, first week of December, we have an offsite. And one of the big themes there is going to be, how do we adopt AI to create investment products? And what's the regulatory framework that would fit into? My own conviction, and I've said this to the team, is that unless we adopt it, technology waves, if you look at each technology wave, the amount of time to mass adoption reduces over time. And I think my personal conviction with AI is it's going to be violently quick. And either you've adopted it and you're harnessing it in your favor, or you're going to get left behind. So, we absolutely want to be on the front foot here. And, we see really interesting potential to create token baskets on chain. There's a ton of really interesting stuff that can be done with it.
Oh my goodness. I think the lowest hanging fruit for a company like Uphold with the greatest impact is harnessing data in that way that only AI can kind of do, connecting dots and formulating baskets of assets based on data points from all kinds of places. That gets me really excited for you. That doesn't play a role in my life, but like that at that scale, just operationally as well, being able to just have all of that work in the background and create these connections to create very valuable products. Amazing.
Yeah, we've got a substantial data team run by a hugely talented guy, and Diogo, who heads that team, pings me every day with what they can be doing with data, and they're doing some really interesting stuff. It ranges from predicting when a fraud event could happen to predicting when a customer could churn. And that becomes super interesting in how you engage with your customers.
Yeah, it just makes the whole how each individual customer can be treated as such at scale.
Yeah.
Rather than blanket experiences, it can be adapted to. Oh, they're this close to going into a churn phase. Let's do this based on their activity, and I love it. I love that. Okay.
We're really intrigued by the idea of creating more tailored customer experiences for individuals based on their personal behavior. We've never really liked the traditional marketing approach of you band people into a broad group and assume that they're going to behave like everybody else. That's a very crude approach to giving somebody a useful and relevant experience.
Yeah. It's segmentation on steroids that you couldn't really do with manpower. So I'm very excited about that. That seems like something that that's near future stuff.
It is. Yeah, no, that's kind of here today, or it's certainly, rollout is sort of measured in quarters rather than years for certain.
Right. Great. Okay, Simon, I can't thank you enough for your time again.
Great to see you, Lewis. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. And we'll do it again next time Uphold's got something to talk about.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Cheers. Bye.